Just a word association. I'll throw you out a few words. Anything that comes to your mind, just throw it back at me, okay? Rain.
Snow.
White.
Black.
Tar baby.
What'd you say?
Colored.
Redneck.
Jungle bunny.
Peckerwood.
Birdhead.
Cracker.
Spear chucker.
White trash.
Spade.
Hunky.
Nigger.
Dead hunky.
Why you like this song so much?
Oh, it's amazing, man. It's provocative.
Yeah. What, you like the lyrics?
I just think it's like a jam. It's just a jam, you know?
Yeah, you know what? What's the title of this song again? I forgot the name of this song. It's so provocative. What is it?
I don't know. I think, is it In Paris?
Something in Paris. What is it?
It's Midnight in Paris?
No, that's not it.
Is it Midnight in
How
Paris?
you been, man?
It's
I
not
haven't seen you
midnight.
in a while.
Not good, man. I've been on the run, man. I just got back I just got back in town today, man. I went to that bar down southeast that Margaret told us about.
Yeah, I remember.
Boy, you would have thought it was a Klan rally up in there. Boy, I thought that was my ass, man.
What happened?
Man, I just went in there to get a cold drink, and I'm thinking, you know, it's gonna be a little chill and stuff. How you doing, sir?
Good, nigga. You heard him?
Hey, yo, what you just called me?
What's up, nigga?
You don't get to call me that, boy. You don't get to call me that. What's wrong? You don't get to call me that. Look. You don't think I know what I'm doing? Huh? I'm doing this for us. Think about it. If we take back the word, it don't harm us no more. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard, nigga.
You feel that? You feel that? Take it back.
Yeah. Feel that? Yeah, nigga. Yeah, take it back. It's yours, nigga. Hey, let's go, Mr. Lee.
I'm just chilling, nigga.
Say what? Come over there and beat your ass, nigga. I wasn't.
Hey, how you been, nigga?
I ain't saying what? Hey, stop playing with me, nigga. Wait, I didn't mean. Wait, I didn't. Wait. You safe, nigga.
It's good, nigga.
Favorite word, hands down, is the N-word, which I learned to loathe growing up in Detroit's inner city, where it occasionally raised its head like a cobra. I understand what makes it unacceptable for whites, but I confess that I still don't fully understand what makes it acceptable for blacks.
Now, I got this job. It's like, explain nigger, go ahead. I'm the wrong guy to explain nigger, even though some would call me a niggerologist, but it's the same philosophy as soul food. They gave us the scraps and we made it into cuisine. And we took this word and we made it into poetry. You know what I mean? It's horrible, but you put some sauce on it and now it's poetry. Nigger is the nitroglycerin of words, and in the wrong hands it can hurt. But if you give it to the right scientists, a Dave Chappelle, a Ice Cube, or Eddie Murphy, what they did, what NWA and Richard Pryor did with the word nigger is just, it's art. It's Mark Twain.
Yes. Now, that's an offensive word to some people. And in what terms do you use it?
I don't know, man. People have to understand, I grew up in a different time. So where that word is just a word. It has no effect, but it is a double standard because there's certain people who will get offended if someone who doesn't have the skin tone of me says it, like, which is really weird, you know? Like, then they're keeping the original meaning of that a lot. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, if a white person says
yeah, like if a white person says it,
isn't it derogatory?
Like it's derogatory because your skin isn't the same color as mine. But why when it's just weird that a lot of people still get, you know, upset with that. And it's like, I don't know. I think you give certain words power.
Are you saying it's just a word?
Yeah, like if you choose
is
to be
there any word
you
that
could call me a nigga and I would not give a
African-American
fuck.
rappers saying N-word this and N-word that, but a Caucasian can't.
So say it.
Say what?
Say the word you want to say.
I'm not saying that I want to say it. I'm just saying that I can't.
Sure you can. Say it. Say it right now. I will say it with you.
Okay, this is hypocritical. You know we can't.
Sure you can. This is America. Both of you. Say it.
All right, I think we can move on.
Why move on when you want to say it? Both of you want to say it. Huh?
A white person walks up to Eazy-E and says, "Hey, nigger."
Depends on how you say it. Like you say, "What's up, nigga?" Then that's cool. But if you just say, "Nigger," then I'm gonna take it different. And I might be over there, you be pulling me off of it, you know? Me going, "What's up, nigga?" is something totally different. When they go, somebody looking at you and go, "Nigga,"
my
then you gonna take it different.
Is not even in the word nigger. My problem is what dirty-minded, dirty people did with a beautiful word that comes up out of the expression of beauty in African people. I am simply attempting to get us to understand the origin of the word. If we use it enough, maybe it won't bother us anymore. Because when I hear the word, it doesn't bother me. Because I know its origin. Negus, Negusti, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, the highest of high, Inter, spiritual, the highest form of the spirit. And it is when I speak to elders to help them understand that when those young brothers and sisters, but young brothers in particular, say, "Yo, that's my nigga," a person of glory, a person of greatness, a spiritual entity that I love. That's my nigga. I love that nigga.
The evolving history of nigger, NGR, and Nagas, African origins, and ancient usage. In many ancient African and Afro-Asiatic contexts, words resembling nigger or Naga held meanings of honor, divinity, or peoplehood, a stark contrast to the modern slur. In ancient Egypt, the consonantal root NGR, written in hieroglyphs as NTR, meant God or divine. Egyptian texts used this word for deities and even for the pharaoh, who was considered a god-king. Notably, Egyptian writing didn't record short vowels, so NTR could be later pronounced Neger. Some scholars have pointed out the similarity between Neger and the later English slur and sound, suggesting a twisted lineage. One commentary boldly claims the father of the N word was the word used by the ancient Egyptians for God. That word was NGR. This view, often advanced in Afrocentric studies, proposes that the sacred Egyptian term was later mispronounced and misused by outsiders. While mainstream linguists typically derive the slur from Latin, as we will see, it is an intriguing, lesser-known perspective that ancient Africans' word for deity may echo in the later vocabulary. Across Africa, similar sounds appear in words denoting royalty or people. For example, in Ethiopia, the Ge'ez and Amharic title Negus means king, famously used for Ethiopian monarchs. It stems from the phrase Negusha Nagast, meaning king of kings, Merriam-Webster.com. Likewise, Negusa Nagast was the imperial title meaning emperor, and the term Nagast itself can be translated as kings, or by extension, glory, as in the Ethiopian Kebra Nagast, glory of kings. These words share the Nagas root with the NG sound. Some researchers have even asserted that Naga is the origin of the word Nega, Negusa, Nagast, nigger, or NGR, Negro, correlating each to meanings like king, lord, glory, black, and God, respectively. In other words, this interpretation links a family of terms across Africa and Asia. Naga, claimed to mean people in some Nubian or East African usage. Nagast, royal titles in Ethiopia. Nigger, Latin for black. NGR, Egyptian for God. And Negro, Spanish, Latin for black. While this sweeping etymological connection is not universally accepted, it underscores an important point. In ancient times, these sounds often carried positive or neutral meanings: divinity, royalty, community, or simply color, without the hateful connotations acquired later. It's also worth noting that in several Niger, Congo, African languages, words beginning with N denote important concepts of leadership or deity. For instance, Nkosi in Xhosa means God or king, and Ngola in the Kimbundu language of Angola means king. The country Angola is named after the title Angola. Such examples show that the NG sound sequence was frequently associated with esteemed status in African contexts. The convergence of these sounds may be coincidental across languages, but it fueled later theories that African peoples had used a term like Naga for themselves. In Nubia, ancient Sudan, there was indeed a city called Naka, a Kushite settlement, though the name's meaning is unclear. Afrocentric historians like Runoko Rashidi argue that Naga was a self-designation for an ancient widespread black nation, pointing to tribes with similar names, e.g. Nagamarka or Nagamina in West Africa, and suggesting a cultural link between Nubian, Indian, and other Naga peoples. In this view, the term Naga is referred broadly to the people, a branch of the Cushitic race, spread from Africa to India. Whether or not one accepts these far-reaching connections, it is clear that in antiquity, Naga, Nigger, NGR sounds bore connotations of blackness, peoplehood, kingship, or godliness, not insult. Moving into classical times, the word nigger firmly enters the written record via Latin. In Latin, nigger, pronounced roughly neger in classical Latin, simply means black, describing the color black or dark shade. It was a neutral descriptor for color and could be applied to objects, animals, or people. In fact, Latin authors more commonly used other terms for Africans, like Ethiops, meaning burnt face, or Afer, meaning African. But nigger could be used descriptively as well. The Roman naming system even incorporated nigger as a cognomen, nickname, for individuals with dark complexion or hair. For example, the 2nd century Roman governor Pescennius Niger bore nigger as an epithet, presumably for his swarthy skin. In such cases, nigger was analogous to calling someone the dark one, an identifier without overt value judgment in that era. One notable appearance of nigger is in the Bible. The New Testament mentions a Christian teacher in Antioch named Simeon, who was called nigger. Acts 13:1 lists Simeon called nigger among the prophets and teachers of the early church. The epithet almost certainly denotes that Simeon was dark-skinned or of African descent, since nigger is Latin for black. Biblical scholars concur that this nickname implies he was a black African among the multicultural church community. The text itself treats the term as a straightforward descriptor, essentially identifying Simon the Black. There is no hint of derogatory meaning in that context. On the contrary, Simeon Nigger's presence underscores the diversity of the early Christian leadership. This biblical usage shows that in the classical world, nigger was a simple term for color, much as we might use black as an adjective, with none of the pejorative sting that the word, in mutated form, would later carry. The Greek language had its own words for black and did not use nigger, but it's worth noting the Greek perspective. Ancient Greeks commonly used melas, root of English melancholy, melanoma, for black or dark, and Ethiops, Ethiops, for black-skinned people, literally burnt face. They did not use the Latin nigger, although educated Greeks under the Roman Empire would have understood it. Interestingly, a Greek reading person encountering nigger as a name might associate it with nekros, Greek for dead, or nikaros, meaningless. But these are false cognates. There is no real etymological relation between nigger, black, and Greek nekros, dead, despite the superficial resemblance. The classical world thus contributed the Latin adjective Niger to mean black in a neutral way. And this Latin word is the direct ancestor of some later terms for black people. We should remember, however, that context is everything. In Rome, a surname like nigger or an adjective in a text carried no insult by itself. It simply noted one's appearance. Sanskrit and the South Asian Naga. Meanwhile, a very similar sounding term was flourishing in South Asia. Naga, nag, in the Sanskrit language. Despite the phonetic overlap, Naga in classical Sanskrit had a completely different meaning from Latin nigger. Naga literally means serpent or snake, especially referring to the cobra. In Hindu and Buddhist mythology, the Nagas are a semi-divine race of serpent beings, often depicted as half-human, half-snake, who reside in the netherworld and guard treasures or sacred places far from any notion of race or color. Nagas in myth are powerful and sometimes revered creatures associated with water, fertility, and protection. For example, in Buddhist lore, a Naga king shields the Buddha, and in Hindu lore, the snake Ananta coils under Vishnu. The word Naga can also colloquially mean just a big snake. Over centuries, Naga took on extended meanings in some Asian languages. In Java, for instance, Naga came to denote a dragon or serpent deity. And in some contexts, Naga was poetically used for an elephant or cloud, perhaps due to shape or strength. But at its core, Sanskrit Naga equals snake, with no inherent reference to people with dark skin. That said, the term Naga does intersect with human identities in South and Southeast Asia, which adds complexity to its history. There are ethnic groups known as Naga people, notably a collection of tribes in Northeast India and Northwest Myanmar, called the Naga. However, this name was likely given by outsiders, possibly from Assamese or Burmese words. And one theory is that it derives from a word for people with pierced ears, or simply people Naka, rather than any connection to snakes. In India's ancient legends, there were also references to a people called Nagas, sometimes thought to be serpent-worshipping or totemic tribes. In Sri Lankan history, for example, the Nagas are mentioned as an ancient tribe of the island, though heavily mythologized. These various uses of Naga for human groups might have contributed to later interpretations that Nagas were a widespread people in antiquity. The Afrocentric scholarship we encountered earlier seizes on the word Naga to propose links between India and Africa. Some writers assert that the ancient Naga people of India were part of the same Kushite cultural sphere as African peoples, even suggesting that Naga was a term ancient Indians and Africans used for themselves. They point out that Naga can mean people in some contexts. For example, one source claims Naga, from East Indian and Nubian origin, means people. In West African history, a 14th century travelogue by Ibn Battuta mentions a land called Nugarmarta, which has been interpreted as Nagamarta, possibly meaning land of the Naga people. Such connections are speculative, but they align with the broader idea that Naga was an ancient ethnonym spanning continents. Mainstream historians are cautious about these claims. It's more likely that the similarity in words is coincidental or due to later interpretation rather than an actual direct link. Linguistically, Sanskrit naga, snake, has no proven relation to Latin nigger, black. They come from different language families, Indo-European versus Afro-Asiatic, and different root meanings. Still, the resonance of naga as a concept of identity, mythical or real, has made it a fascinating piece of the puzzle when comparing cultures. In summary, naga, in the Sanskrit and South Asian context, was a proud and often sacred term, connoting mystical serpents and sometimes tribes, and completely independent in origin from the Latin, European words for black people. It was only later, through comparative speculation, that people drew lines between naga and nigger. This reminds us that similar-sounding words can evolve in separate worlds, only to be woven together by human imagination long after. From Negro to nigger, medieval and colonial evolution. As we move into the late medieval and colonial eras, the Latin nigger gave rise to terms in European languages that were initially neutral designations for dark-skinned people. But eventually, these terms took a harrowing turn. The Spanish and Portuguese word negro, from Latin nigger, simply means black. When Iberian explorers and slave traders began encountering sub-Saharan Africa in the 15th and 16th centuries, they used negro to refer to the people they saw, essentially calling them black in reference to skin color. This usage was imported into English. The earliest English uses of negro, borrowed from Spanish Portuguese in the 16th century, also just meant a person of the black race. For instance, English writings of the 1500s might speak of the Negroes of Africa in the same matter-of-fact tone as the Europeans of France. Over time, Negro, with a capital N, even became an accepted polite term in English for people of African descent, lasting well into the 20th century in formal usage. However, alongside Negro, another offshoot of nigger was brewing in colloquial English. Nigger. This word entered English in the 16th to 17th century, initially as variant spellings like neger or nigger, with one G, closely modeled on the French nègre and Spanish negro. In early records, it was often a neutral synonym for Negro. For example, the first known published instance from 1574 speaks of the niggers of Ethiop, bearing witness. Here, niggers, 1G, simply identifies people from Ethiopia. Similarly, an English colonist in 1619 Virginia noted the arrival of 20 and odd Negroes by writing 20-point and odd negars, using an early spelling. These forms were essentially attempts by English writers to capture the Spanish-Portuguese word in English letters. In the 1600s, one might encounter neger or negar in literature and correspondence, referring to enslaved Africans without explicit malice. Crucially, it was in the 18th century that nigger, with the double G spelling becoming standard, degenerated into a derogatory slur. The Oxford English Dictionary notes the first abusive usage recorded in What Changed? The intensification of the Atlantic slave trade and chattel slavery in the Americas undoubtedly played a role. As slavery in English colonies became race-based and brutal, the terminology used by owners and traders took on contempt. Nigger increasingly was spat out with connotations of inferiority, dehumanization, and contempt for the enslaved. By the 1800s, it was commonly used by whites in the United States as a pejorative. For instance, slave owners and overseers addressed black people with nigger to demean them, and this carried into the everyday speech of 19th century America as a casual slur. It's worth noting that not every usage in the early 1800s was strictly negative. There were regional variations. On the American frontier, some trappers and adventurers used the pronunciation nigger in a rough but not always hateful way, even referring to themselves in a self-effacing manner. A white mountain man might call himself "this old nigger" in a folksy tone, or use nigger to refer to any rugged guy, whether white, indigenous, or black. Such examples show the word in a liminal phase, straddling neutral and negative usages, but these exceptions faded as the country polarized over slavery and then segregation. By the late 19th, and certainly into the 20th century, nigger was unmistakably a vicious slur in mainstream usage, loaded with the terror of lynchings and oppression. It became, as one modern dictionary puts it, perhaps the most offensive and inflammatory racial slur in English. During the colonial period, the legacy of nigger-negro also entered place names and taxonomy. European mapmakers for centuries labeled West Africa as Nigritia, or Negroland, Latin for land of the blacks. This corresponded to the Arabic term Bilad al-Sudan with the same meaning. The great river flowing through West Africa was called the Niger River, a name possibly influenced by Latin Niger, black, or a native Tuareg name, Egero en Igerewen, meaning river of rivers. The country of Niger and Nigeria later took their names from the river, with Nigeria coined by a British writer in 1897. In these cases, the Latin word for black became embedded in geography. Again, initially without derogatory intent, simply denoting a land of black people. But in the modern era, even these neutral usages cause unease. For example, sellers of bird seed that comes from the African yellow daisy have long called it nigger seed for its black color, yet now often marketed as Niger seed to avoid any confusion with the slur. This demonstrates how the legacy of the word nigger has effectively poisoned even innocent homophones. A Latin-based scientific name like Hyoscyamus niger, black henbane, is benign in origin, but if pronounced aloud, it unnervingly echoes the profanity, a linguistic shadow cast by history, modern connotations and cultural sensitivities. Today, the word nigger is virtually unanimously regarded as an obscene racial insult, so much so that it is often referred to euphemistically as the N-word. The transformation is complete. What started as a Latinate descriptor has become a term liable to be considered offensive or taboo in almost all contexts. Modern dictionaries flag it as the strongest slur in Englishin because of its hateful use during centuries of enslavement, segregation, and racism. The N-word carries a historical trauma. In the late 20th century, it largely disappeared from polite or public speech, and any non-black person uttering it, even in quotation, faces serious censure. There have been notable incidents by a U.S. official lost his job in 1999 merely for using the unrelated word niggardly, meaning stingy, because it sounded similar, illustrating how socially radioactive the N-word has become. Within black communities, however, there has been an attempt to reclaim or neutralize the word by altering it to nigga. This variant pronunciation, often ending in A, is used colloquially among some African Americans, especially in hip-hop music and street vernacular, as a term of camaraderie or endearment. My nigga, roughly meaning my buddy. As one scholar notes, this is an instance of linguistic reappropriation, yet even this intergroup usage is contentious. It hasn't stripped away all the pain associated with the term, and it remains off limits for non-black people. The complexity was highlighted in a famous pop culture moment by rapper Kendrick Lamar, who in 2015 drew attention to Nagast, the Ethiopian word for king, as a positive homophone of the N-word. In a song lyric, he spells out Negus, Definition royalty king Shiramerika tried to make it a house divided. By doing so, he educated listeners about the Amharic word negus and its uncanny resemblance to niggas. Many were surprised to learn that negus, pronounced negus, is an honorable title meaning king, utterly unrelated to the Latin nigger, 1G. Kendrick's point was to contrast the dignity of negus with the degradation of nigger, thereby reclaiming a sense of worth. This shows how modern discourse sometimes looks back to historical language, be it Ethiopian negus or Egyptian NGR, to subvert the slur's power. Nonetheless, outside of such academic or artistic contexts, the word nigger itself is not rehabilitated. Its modern aura is toxicity and offense. And what of the other terms that we have traced? Negro, once the standard nomenclature, as in the United Negro College Fund or the Negro Spirituals, is now antiquated and can sound derogatory coming from non-black speakers. It has largely been supplanted by black or African American in the United States. Colored, another old term, has long fallen out of favor except in historical names like the NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Meanwhile, the Latin nigger lives on innocuously in scientific Latin names for flora, fauna, anatomy, and in the names of countries like Niger and Nigeria. But due to the potential for misunderstanding, people are careful with pronunciation. The country Niger is pronounced Niger, or in French, Niger, distinctly to avoid sounding like the slur. As for Nagas, in modern usage, this would typically refer either to the Naga peoples of India, Myanmar, or to the serpent deities in mythology. In those contexts, the word bears no stigma. It is a respected name of an ethnic group and a sacred symbol in religion. However, when discussions arise about the N-word's possible ancient connections, Naga sometimes enters the conversation, as we've seen, in an effort to shed new light on a very dark word. In conclusion, the words nigger, niger, NGR, and Nagas have traveled divergent paths through history, often crossing in curious ways. Nigger began as a Latin color term. Nigger morphed from a casual variant of Negro into a vicious epithet. NGR in Egypt was a divine title, and Naga in Sanskrit was a serpentine power and an ethnonym. Over millennia, these sounds have been alternately benign, esteemed, or deeply malign. Understanding their linguistic roots across cultures, from African soils to Roman streets to Indian legends, helps us grasp the tangled history behind the N-word. It reminds us that words take their charge from context and usage. A term that meant God or king in one era can be twisted into a badge of shame in another. Yet knowledge of that history can be empowering. By tracing these words' evolution, we appreciate the weight of cultural baggage they carry, and why sensitivity in using them is paramount. Ultimately, this exploration highlights both the historical complexity of these terms and the modern sensitivities surrounding them, teaching us how language can reflect humanity's highest reverence and its lowest prejudice depending on how we choose to wield it. As a black man myself, the exploration into the evolving history of words like nigger, Niger, NGR, and Nagas hits home deeply. Language is complex, and the journey of these terms reveals a powerful story, one of dignity, divinity, and royalty long before they were twisted into tools of hate. Among my friends, my congregation, and even within our community, I comfortably use the word nigga as a term of affection, solidarity, and endearment. It resonates in the music we listen to, reflecting how we've reclaimed the power to define ourselves and our connections. However, I'm keenly aware that not everyone shares my comfort, particularly older generations who bear the heavy memories of segregation, discrimination, and outright hatred wrapped within this word. Many African Americans still feel the sting, understandably so, due to painful historical contexts. But it's precisely because of that complex history that I felt compelled to dive deeper and explore the true origins of these terms, shedding light on their positive and profound roots. We shouldn't forget that words like NGR, Negus, and Nagas were once symbols of divinity, royalty, and strength, meanings diametrically opposed to the derogatory slur they've become. A similar complexity arises when we consider the term Christian. Despite Christianity being weaponized by enslavers who twisted biblical scripture to justify oppression, many African Americans today proudly call themselves Christians. The harmful actions of our doctrine can erase the positive, spiritual significance and comfort that the faith provides. This parallel illustrates a powerful truth. We cannot and should not let a small group of people dictate the narrative around our identity, our language, or our history. Knowing the deeper, original meanings of these words gives us an opportunity to reclaim their true essence. It's about taking back power, redefining our story, and proudly asserting the strength that has always been ours. Remembering this, the original power of these words can still echo loudly today, carrying the dignity, pride, and resilience of our ancestors forward into future generations. Hey family, it's BrandonAlexander. Thanks for listening. I truly appreciate you taking the time to dive into this important topic with me. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's your take on this conversation? Do you use terms like nigga within your own circles, or do you feel differently about it? Let's keep the dialogue going. So drop your thoughts down in the comments below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to stay connected for more powerful and insightful conversations coming your way. Much love, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.
Are you offended by the word nigga?
Why? Where'd that come from?
Did I say that? It's just that there's a big flap in various parts of the country where people want that, great American novel taken off the shelves because of the word nigger Jim is a character.
I thought you would say the various parts of the country where they enjoy hearing someone say that on television.
No.
This is cable. It's like we're sitting in Memphis like this. I like that, Kevin, boy. You see him say nigger right in front of me? I like it. Nigger sitting 2 inches away. He's just looking in the eye.
I ain't hooked up in all that racism shit. My motto is life is just be happy with motherfuckers. I ain't into all that racism shit. Racism ain't as bad as it used to be anyway, man. I mean, it's fucked up, but they don't call niggas no more and shit. White people don't say it, especially when there's niggas around, so I guess I wouldn't know it.
To a point where the next one's going to be, you know what, the N-word. You know what the N-word is, right?
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
I figured you'd want to clean that up. No, it's the N-word. That's a very nasty word, right? In a lot of ways. The N-word used in a nuclear sense, that's the worst thing that can happen.
I'm a nigga, he's a nigga, she's a nigga, we some niggas. Wouldn't you like to be a nigga too?